I Bet My Life is a song by American rock band Imagine Dragons. And I imagine not many of you have heard of them. But the song was released in October of 2014, and the band performed it at the American Music Awards that year when they received the award for Favorite Alternative Artist. I've posted the music video on the All Saints Facebook page, and I invite you to go and watch it, to enter into this story of the band frontman, Dan Reynolds, as he sings to his parents about leaving home against their wishes. And like the parable story, this prodigal son sings about estrangement and the death of relationship. He sings, "I know I took the path that you would never want for me. I know I let you down, didn't I? So many sleepless nights where you were waiting up for me, but I'm just a slave unto the night. Now remember when I told you that the last you'll see of me. Remember when I broke you down to tears. I know I took the path that you would never want for me. I gave you hell through all the years. I've been around the world, and never in my wildest dreams would I come running home to you. I've told a million lies, but now I tell a single truth. There's you in everything I do." There's you in everything I do, Jesus sings to us. This song captures the conflict of the prodigal son and how he must be feeling before returning to the Father. It's got to be humiliating, but the situation has become desperate enough for him that he has no other choice. And in that difficult return, he comes to the realization that the Father is always in him. The Father loves the Son so much that he will bet his very life on him. He's all in and always there. The story of the prodigal son is about death and life, wandering and return, estrangement and reconciliation. And this week, as I read Robert Capon, who was an American Episcopal priest and author, his writings helped me see that this story is one of death and new life for you and for me. And as the Imagine Dragons sing, God bets his life on us. God does this and forgives us. God does this and loves us. And God runs to us, no matter how far you and I may have wandered away. What counts is the Father's unceasing desire to find both of the sons he lost, and then to raise them both up from the dead. Deaths caused by their sinful selfishness. The younger son says to the father, "Divide the inheritance between me and my brother." And what he's really saying is, "I wish that you would drop dead, Dad. Put your will into effect today and retire from all that you know, everything that defines you, all of the things you have." So the younger gets the cash and the older one gets the farm. Now, you may have heard this story so many times that you've already figured it out. And perhaps you've heard a sermon or two, as I have, about the younger son's repentance. But it's not repentance. The younger son just makes another dumb plan for his life. He names that he sinned against heaven and before dear old Dad. And he gets it that he's no longer worthy to be called his son. But he's dead wrong when he asks to be one of Dad's hired servants, because he can't go back as a dead son. And so he schemes to go back as somebody else, somebody who maybe can earn the Father's favor again. But being a good worker isn't real repentance, but it's enough of a plan that gets him to go back home. And when he does, dear old dead-to-him Dad is sitting on the front porch of the farmhouse, a farm that no longer belongs to him. I imagine him sitting in a rocking chair that belongs to the older son. And Dad sits there, and he sees the son coming down the road. Half-mile away, he sees this, and he rushes off of the porch. He runs down that road, and he throws his arms around his son's neck, and he kisses him. Dad never says a single word to the prodigal son. Instead, I think Jesus uses this embrace and this kiss to say, I have found my son. He is alive. He is mine. It's amazing that given all of the scheming that the son does, he never gets the confession out of his mouth until after the kiss, until after the embrace. This says to me that this means that confession is not somehow a precondition of forgiveness. It's not something that you do after you know. It is something, rather, that you do after we know that we've been forgiven. Confession is not something you do to earn or get forgiveness. It's something that you do to celebrate forgiveness freely given. Because no one can really earn forgiveness. The prodigal knows he's dead and can't come home as son again. And yet in his father's arms, he's raised from that death. And he's then able to come alongside his father. And the father freely throws a party because his son who was dead is alive again. The one who wandered away has returned. The one he thought lost forever has been found. All is well because this dead son lives. He's been raised by his father's embrace. He's done nothing to earn it. All that matters is that the father has called for a party to celebrate the finding of the lost and the resurrection of the dead. And each week we are invited to that same party, at the feast that never ends, where the fatted calf is given for us, where the finest wine is poured out for us. That's how most of Jesus' parables of grace end, with a party. With a party that tells us that grace is for the dead that have come alive. Grace is for the lost that have now been found. The father died at the beginning of this story. The prodigal son died in a far-off land. And the older son who stayed at home has been dying inside for years. The party is now in full swing, and Jesus engages Mr. Responsibility, Mr. Whining, Mr. Elder Brother. Jesus goes and meets him in the Father, and he comes in. The older son, he steps aside from his duties. He hears the music. He sees the dancing. I imagine he sees the waiters passing around the drinks, carrying the platters of that delicious roast veal. And so he asks one of the servants, "What's going on?" "I didn't plan, and I'm certainly not paying for any party." And the servant tells him the good news that his brother is home. And the dear old dad has killed the fatted calf because he returned safe and sound. Angry, the older brother won't go into the house. He's right there in the midst of the party. He's part of the party, but he refuses to join in. I think the point isn't about a bad boy prodigal who returns home and everything turns into a good story. We create a happy ending in our minds. And it isn't, as you and I might write, a moral story that includes the older brother getting what he deserves, creating a story with a rotten ending. Instead, Jesus tells us a story that has no end. It is completely open-ended. We don't know what happens next. Or do we? Jesus never lets this story end. It continues in each one of our lives this very day. It's an everlasting image of Jesus being with us, accompanying us, running to us, freeing us, forgiving us, loving us, giving us life. It's the everlasting image of Jesus the Christ, who saves the stubborn and the damned, who saves you and me. When the Father goes outside to meet that stubborn son and to meet us, he's like Jesus descending to the dead. And we are all reminded that whenever we experience death and hell, Jesus the Christ is with us. There's nothing that can keep that shepherd who loves all of us lost sheep ever to stop looking. And even if that elder brother stands outside for all of eternity, stays in his own hell, never goes inside to the party, never reconciles with his younger brother, even if all of that happens, he will always be with Jesus, the one who longs to raise him from the dead. Jesus will always seek the lost. Jesus will always raise you from the dead. And Jesus will never give up on you. He bets his life on it.